Good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 14. We are counting down the weeks, down to the final three. Go Warriors, by the way. So week 14, 15, 16, we are just coming to the end. Really, your primary goal this week is to continue working on Essay 3. So let's take a look at what's in the module. I need to move week 14 up here. All right, so if you are planning on revising essay number 2, keep in mind what that due date is, right? You can click on revising essay 2 in the module here, and it will just kind of, again, walk you through those steps of what it means to revise, what your requirements are in terms of revising. The big one is that you have to conference with me if you're planning on revising, and I have that in place to make sure that we're both on the same page, right? So that we can collectively ensure that you're on the right track, that your essay will be complete, and you'll be as successful in meeting whatever goal you have for the essay. And so that's why I have that as a requirement. Keep in mind also that if you received an incomplete, you must revise. That is not an option if you're trying to pass this semester. You must revise. Okay? So if you are planning on revising, your due date, Monday, May 9th, that's a week from today, which means you need to get in your conference this week if you haven't met with me already, okay? All right, so that page, again, walks you through the process, the steps, where your essay goes. It's all of the information is available to you. This week, you have your last collection of readings for essay number 3. And there are only a few of them, right? 16, 17, and 18. These will kind of close out our the readings that I've given you as far as what you can use for your discussion boards and such. You'll notice that there are some supplemental resources this week that I didn't necessarily want to require, but I just thought were really interesting. And so these are available to you. If you want to read them, great. I think they're interesting. I think for some of you who are writing, kind of about democracy in a kind of looking at the united part of the United States and thinking about democracy in those terms, I think that some of these readings could be really interesting for you. They're not required, supplemental, but if you are stuck or if you are wanting to read some other pieces of material, I would encourage you to kind of skim these and see if they'd be beneficial for you. For those of you who are writing about democracy and like, what do we do or what can we do or how do we bridge the gap, then take a look at this week's extra credit. It's all about organizations that have the aim of kind of helping people communicate more effectively when it comes to divides, division, like think of the Thanksgiving table and you can't talk to your uncle, right? Kind of thing. On an organizational scale, I thought that these organizations were really, really pretty interesting. Okay. But the big thing this week is the rough draft. So the idea behind the rough draft isn't for me to give you feedback, which is going to be different than the previous rough drafts. The idea is to motivate you to get started on essay number 3. Now, if you want to meet and talk about your rough draft, we certainly can, but the goal is to get you going on the rough draft and not have you wait until 2 days before the essay's due before you start writing. So it's really more of like I got to get this done. It only has to be at least 2 pages for you to get credit. I'm not going to give feedback on it. If you want to schedule a conference and we can go over various elements of your draft, we can do that. I can't give feedback mainly because there's just not time for me to turn it around as fast as I would need to get it back to you in order for you to write it. So you can also kind of go back over the feedback that I've given you for the last 2 essays and then kind of apply that to where you're going to be going in essay number 3. But again, this is anytime this week, get your rough draft in. And so again, it's there to kind of inspire you to get started and try to prevent you from not waiting until the very last minute. That's really your goal this week. You only have 3 readings. You do have the same discussion boards, musings about a reading. What do you think about what you're reading? And then the essay progress. The essay progress this week, I'm asking you to engage with your classmates. And, you know, now you're able to help each other, make suggestions, especially if you see something that someone's writing about and you're like, oh, have you thought about this? Have you considered this? Are you going to be bringing in this source or this source, right? Now you're able to really kind of crowdsource in a way your thinking, and that's the goal of these discussion boards. These discussion boards are also meant to be a little bit more like formalized pre-writing, right? So that way every week I'm asking you to think about these writings and think about your draft and think about your writing, again, to try to help you move along in these weeks as we come to the due date of essay number 3. The essay is due next week. It's due Thursday with a grace period of Saturday. So next week, there's no new content. Your primary goal next week is to write the essay, revise it, make it the strongest that you can. The next week's module, week 15's module, is already up and open for you if you decide that you want to go ahead and submit it early. You will see a very unique extra credit opportunity there for you. And that extra credit opportunity is for you to record yourself, camera or no, I don't really care, but record yourself reading your essay out loud. And that's an extra credit because so many times if you read your paper out loud, you are much more likely to hear errors than if you are just reading it to yourself on your screen. I don't need to see your camera. You can record it with your phone and post that. But the goal is to kind of help you in your editing and your proofreading by giving you some extra points for reading it out loud. At any rate, week 15 is open, and it is available to you. We're coming close to the end. There are some specific things that will happen that last week of class, obviously. We'll talk more about that next week. This week, my conference schedule is a little bit wonky, so if you need a conference, schedule it early, and next week I will have a crazy amount of conferences available for you. If you need me in the meantime, please reach out via email. Let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great week. Take care.